Welcome to Pixel Portable. My name is Ben, and we need to go back. We had been saving money for years, saving up so that we could do some extensive travelling around the world, because we really like to travel and explore. It's a pretty simple goal. Save the money, do the travel, be the happy. Originally, we had no starting location, but in December 2019, with the death of my partner's mother, we had one. A location and a goal. Thailand. And the goal was to sort out legal documents pertaining to her mother's death. With the new starting location decided, we booked our flights for April, signed over the house to new tenants, and prepared for our flights. Then, in March 2020.
Good evening. The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades, and this country is not alone. All over the world, we're seeing the devastating impact of this invisible killer. And so, tonight, I want to update you on the latest steps we're taking to fight the disease and what you can do to help. From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
A week or so before takeoff, our flights were cancelled, the country was in lockdown, and we were effectively very soon to become homeless. We managed to secure somewhere to stay and a place to store our belongings, not in London, but in nearby Essex. We spent most of the first lockdown going on Pokemon Go walks, sitting indoors, overeating, gaming, and some freelance work. Fast forward to September 2020, travel was clearly not going to be happening anytime soon, and we got sick of constantly waiting for change, so we decided to try something else that we'd been thinking about: van life. For those not in the know, van life is basically living in a kitted out van. It's a simple concept. Buy a van, build it out to live in, and live in it. Theoretically, you can save money as you don't have rent costs and you can travel if you're able to work remotely, and then you can have this Instagram-worthy lifestyle. However, like all things on Instagram, the reality is often more dull than it is colourful, so you should take the glorified images of a young lady doing yoga to the backdrop of some snow-topped mountains glistening on the horizon, and think more about where she's going to take a shit after she's downed a cup of artisan inverse-pressed coffee. We bought a mostly converted van, added some upgrades, and set a fairly simple goal: go to the furthest northeast and west points of the UK and have some adventures. That way we had something vaguely representing a direction and weren't just aimlessly driving around the UK pretending everything wasn't on fire while carefully dodging the flames licking at our wheels. It was a lot of fun. I think you quickly learn what you need and don't need in a life when your space is so limited, but I do think that for the right kind of person, it's a very rewarding and fulfilling lifestyle. It was during this van life that I decided I wanted to make this channel, the one you're watching right now, a channel dedicated to two of my favourite things: travel and gaming. I'd planned to do it on the road, in the van, but I think I just didn't have the motivation to start. I dreamed about portraying this van lifestyle with a gaming edge, but it was disingenuous. I'd thought about what would be good for content and what I could do to make it entertaining, but it's just not me. I'm not one for putting on personas or doing something just for the content. I'm more of the inclination that if the content you make is from honest interactions and snippets of your life, and that's somehow entertaining or informative to your viewers, then that's enough. We did the whole van life thing for over a year. We managed to visit all the places we wanted to and thoroughly explore the UK before setting off for the world. I didn't have as much free time as I thought I would on this adventure. See what I did there? Thanks to days consisting of 4 to 10 hour long drives. But I did get downtime, and I'd like to touch on the Nintendo Switch games that got me through those resting periods. My most frequently played game of 2020 was Animal Crossing New Horizons. It has this great ability to fill time while not being overly demanding. You don't have to do anything. If you want to just walk around and talk to villagers, go for it. Fancy a day fishing? Sure. It's that pick up and play feel it has with no strings attached that keep me hooked. I slaved over my island and poured hundreds of hours into gameplay just to have the things look the way that I wanted them to look. Deep and complex gameplay is something you simply won't find here, and nor should you. But don't be fooled. Peel back that cute exterior and carefree approach to gameplay, and you'll soon realise that this is a game that punishes the greedy capitalists. If you yearn for nothing more than a tent on an abandoned island where you can lazily relax, then you can get that from the start. But if you want a fancy home, charming residence, infrastructure, a bigger shop, or even a museum, well, then you're going to have to put the axe to the grindstone and earn those nice things. Luckily, there's a gang boss trash panda that'll, rather suspiciously, give you interest-free loans with no time-based repayment structures, and you can spend decades making orchards, collecting seashells, and speculating on the turnip stock exchange until you can pay them off. Either way, if you want nice things, you gotta earn them. I like this game. A lot, apparently. Next is the blisteringly fast-paced love letter to Armored Core game, Daemon X Machina, which, while fairly easy to complete, provided a nice scratch to that Armored Core itch I've had since playing the last of the good Armored Core games, Last Raven, back in the now ancient PS2 era. It's got a simple but in-depth equipment system, lots of customization, and a fairly pick-up-and-play multiplayer system to boot. If you're like me, and well, any Armored Core fan for that matter, and secretly love mech dress-up games, then this might be the game for you. However, as mentioned before, difficulty wasn't to be found here, and at times I did struggle not to take huge and almost life-threatening amounts of cringe damage from the storyline. And well, I use the term storyline lightly here. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Snap both took up some of my time, Sword taking more, but it was nice to finally play through a mainline game. I think there are very reasonable criticisms that can be wielded against the game, but unfortunately I'm so far entrenched as a Pokemon fan that even my most objective look at the game would yield results that I really wouldn't trust. I will, however, wield my meaty sword of criticism at Pokemon Sun and Moon. I really tried with this game, often forcing myself through frequent periods of unenjoyment, hoping it'll just get better soon, but it never happened for me. I think the combination of hand-holding and really lazy railroading towards the player's movements early on were quite the put-off. Get in the bag, Nebby, and get in the bag, Pokemon Sun and Moon. Move over. I have better games to slot into my 3DS. Now, I suppose I should probably get back onto topic with the main story of this video before you fall asleep. December 2021, we finally sold the van after 1 year and 3 months of on and off travel to a new owner who will be undertaking her own journey in the UK. We moved all our belongings out of the sheds and into storage containers. After that, thanks to the Phuket Sandbox scheme, we had a way into Thailand. The Sandbox scheme is a complicated system that basically involves us taking multiple PCR tests on the island of Phuket before being allowed to travel domestically within the rest of the kingdom. We sorted all the needed paperwork, booked flights for December 30th so that I could fulfill a promise to myself to not see yet another year in the UK, and thanks to the timing we were able to attend my good friend's wedding party. It was really great to see her, and for a night to pretend things were somewhat normal. 2021 was a shit sandwich of a year, broken up by delicious bready bits of travel in the van.
Yeah, I watched it right now.
B or C gates. Please board the next available train from either platform. The first stop will be for all B gates, and the second stop will be for all...
Hi. Hi.
December 30th, London to Doha. A 6 or 7 hour flight complete with a distressed infant sat behind me. Since I could kick any thought of the notion of sleep aside into the gutter, I thought I'd play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Ultimate Masters 2006 on the Game Boy Advance, or in this case my trusty Odroid Go Advance. I seem to have replaced the annoyance of a screaming child with a new one. The AI will magically always top deck the needed solution for whatever problem you present. If you chuck a monster face down with no effect, well, you can guarantee the AI will always attack that. Chuck down something with a spicy flip effect, however, and the AI lets you know it knows exactly what you put down and that you should eat a nobleman of Crossout. Thanks. I medicated myself from a stressful flight with an infuriating game. The switch in Doha had us inbound for Thailand, and then the massive queue to get paperwork looked at, pass immigration, and eventually get outside for our PCR test from a lady in a hazmat suit. Then it was just an hour-long taxi to the hotel. 5 days of hot weather, good food, and lots of walking soon passed. I was feeling great, and we both felt relaxed and ready to tackle the main story quest that we had started back at the end of 2019. It was finally happening, after 2 years of setbacks and heartbreak. Get to Thailand, get to Chiang Mai, and sort those legal documents. The main goal, the first boss, the first wall, so on and so forth. Well, on the day before our flight to Chiang Mai, Lena's delayed PCR test from day 5 finally arrived back. Unfortunately, she'd tested positive. We were separated into different rooms since I had tested negative and had no symptoms. However, as a person who had been in close contact with an infected person, I was required to have solitary isolation in a room for 14 days, while Lena's was only 7. Lena should have been sent to a government facility to undertake her quarantine, but due to the volume of people testing positive, she lucked out and got to stay in her original hotel room, which was a lot less effort than packing and going to a facility. Anyway, we're okay. We're so close to getting to Chiang Mai and finally sorting out that long-standing task. This might seem like a weird video. After all, this channel is about travel and gaming, but I wanted to start with the bizarre adventure that's led to this point, the inception, and where we are and why we're here. Lastly, I want to apologise to most of my friends. Since I knew about the flight to Thailand, I've told next to nobody. It's not that I didn't want to tell people, but it was more about the sheer amount of stress I was under. I felt that I just needed to escape from everything, and I promised myself as soon as I make the first video that it'll be a sign that those stresses are gone and that I can open up a little more. I didn't want to have to talk about it much, and on top of that, I know a good number of people having a fairly tough time back home, and I didn't want to come across incorrectly or damaging to anyone. As for how long I'll be away, well, it depends. We aim for at least a year, might be less, might be more. Either way, I'll be vlogging, reviewing, and making content here as often as I feel makes sense. It's the first video, and probably not all that interesting to a new viewer, but here it is. I promise the next video will be fully on topic and the start of what you can expect. Thanks for watching, and safe travels, friend.